All right. It is Monday, June 9th, 2025. It is a little past 6 p.m. This is a meeting of the Community Partnerships Committee. I am Christy Marshall, Chair. To my right is Mr. Seaver, and to my left is Mr. Twist. And we are here to hear about an update to the Parks and Rec Master Plan and the role of the Troy Sports Association organizations. Austin, right? Yes? Sure.
Good evening. I appreciate this opportunity to provide an update on the city's park and recreation master plan process. This plan really builds on our successes of our comprehensive plan.
Name and responsibility.
Austin Idemiller, I'm the planning and zoning manager. I'm sure you're familiar with me.
Yeah, we are.
So we did adopt the comprehensive plan last November of 2024, and we're developing the Parks and Recreation Master Plan following a very similar four-step process. Starting with phase one is all about information gathering and analysis. This was our first 90 days of the project, so we really just wrapped that up. This included an update to the 2019 conditions assessment that we did, a full ADA evaluation of all 27 parks to identify gaps and future needs of ADA accessibility, a review of our current programming as well as pool facility options and funding opportunities, park budgeting and maintenance data collection, and the evaluation of usage statistics. We also identified and coordinated an advisory committee made up of 12 representatives from key community organizations like Miami County Parks, Troy City Schools, several youth sports leagues like Troy Junior Baseball, Troy Rattlers, Troy Junior Football, Great Miami Riverway, Troy Bombers, and other local foundations. And 3 of those were selected specific to baseball. We just kicked off our phase 2, which is all about public engagement and outreach. We went live with a community survey last Thursday. We're already hitting about 300 respondents, which is almost half of our entire comprehensive plan public engagement numbers for the survey. So really impressive numbers. We did our first community event at the Strawberry Jam on Friday night. I promise I was not the dancing strawberry at the booth. That was our consultant, Matt O'Rourke. We had some really great feedback. We did some dot density analysis, and that'll be coming to you in an existing conditions report. We also did our first advisory committee meeting. That presentation is available on our website, and we're also drafting our meeting minutes, and that'll be made available as well. And then to wrap up that phase, we're working on 2 future town hall meetings that will be scheduled at a later date. Going into phase 3, which is coming next, we're basically taking all the data that we received from the first 2 phases and then comparing that data with national metrics from the National Recreation and Parks Association and the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan called SCORP. We're going to take a look at our existing service area boundaries based on walkability and other metrics, and identifying maybe some potential gaps or surpluses that we have in our park system. And then we're going to evaluate the future demands of amenities like our pool and sport fields at that time as well. And then to wrap up with phase 4, that's our action plan or implementation plan. This will identify funding sources, including potential grant opportunities and partnership opportunities, provide cost estimates for new infrastructure. We'll also share the draft publicly for several weeks for public comment, and then we'll host our final town hall session with a virtual option if you're unavailable at that specific date. So I feel that we're really hitting all the metrics for public engagement, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Go ahead. Madam Chairman, we appreciate your time. I don't believe that this was the intent that the President and Council desired for this meeting. The purpose of my understanding from talking to the President and Council as to why this was to be assigned was to validate baseball's encouragement to be here. I do recognize that there were a number of dots placed by baseball. It looks like we're moving in the right direction. It's my understanding there's a meeting next week with regards to some of the baseball stakeholders, and I think it would be appropriate for us to come back as a committee to incorporate that as well as validate the public, obvious public input as to the importance of baseball in the plan.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I can just clarify some things. So I guess I would dispute what you said. There really wasn't a lot of clarity that came out of the council comments Monday night, and which is why after we issued our report on Friday leading up to this, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew that, you know, we wanted to talk not only about the Park and Recreation Master Plan, but baseball's role in that overall process. Maybe we glossed over tonight their role and their opportunities, but June 17th is one of the focus groups, which I think you'll find under Phase 2, number 4. Regarding additional engagement sessions that we wanted to validate really without further delay and acknowledge that baseball took the time to come here. What our intent was not, and I don't know that, and maybe council can clarify this for me, and the administration, was for not to have them jump to the front of any line, because we don't know how long that line's going to be, how expensive that line's going to be. There are so many questions that need to be answered in a manner that not only recognizes baseball, but all of our other sports. Several of whom have also reached out to us, and you have seen that correspondence over the past several months, years, whatever. For example, football. They sent us some correspondence. Baseball, football, pickleball. They've had some inquiries and talked to the park board on several occasions. The skate park project that is well over $1 million. They acknowledge those three organizations were in advance of any kind of Mother Nature event or any other thing that came up. They were proactive. They knew we had a process. They knew that we were starting to undergo a Park and Recreation Master Plan, and wanted to make sure that they were able to be at the table. We have 3 separate seats and appointees, if you will, that have accepted roles on the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. Those 3 all represent various aspects of baseball. We also, though, at the same time have an entire roster of advisory board appointees, if you will. We have baseball, we have the foundation, we have county parks, we have the park board, we have the senior center, we have football, as I mentioned, among others. And so we're trying to be comprehensive in how we do this. The reason tonight was to just clarify that this is where we're at. This is how fast we are moving on this park master plan. The reality is that even if the council said, we want to spend, here's $6 million, get baseball done, with all of the steps that have to take place, it would be no further along than getting the park master plan with the prioritization and a comprehensive look at what our park and recreation needs and opportunities are. And so trying to make sure that they recognize the process, that we recognize their enthusiasm regarding where they want to be, where they are and where they want to be in the future, I think we thought anyway, was an important aspect of this meeting. Otherwise, we had never intended on making any kind of specific recommendation tonight, because we're just not that far along to be able to do so in the absence of all of the phase work that Austin just mentioned.
In response, I appreciate your disagreement. I can't speak for Mr. Rozelle. I can only speak for what he told me. But I do believe that what you said was very similar to what I said, which was that what we're trying to do is validate the need for the baseball improvements. And it sounds like that is similar to what you just reiterated. So I'm not certain what the disagreement was about, because at the end of the day, it sounds like we're all on the same page. So I'm not really sure whether this was a necessary meeting if we're all moving forward, but I do appreciate the staff's input and the administration's input and recognition of the importance, both economically and socially, for the baseball fields, and that they took their time to come here en masse to state their cause to this board, or to this council. And this council, I believe, from what Mr. Rozelle indicated, why he wanted this meeting was to reflect that we heard them and that we're moving forward with regards to their request. So perhaps we are on the same page.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with everything that you said. I guess the statement earlier, or maybe the implication or the inference that I took, was that in some way this was supposed, as most, if not all, committee meetings are, to recommend action of some type, and this was clearly not that, and that this was not instigated by the staff. Probably would not have recommended doing this other than to, maybe make a public statement or maybe make a brief presentation at the council meeting, rather than having a committee meeting where we're just clearly not in the position to make any kind of recommendation specifically. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sure.
I would say I'm glad that the committee is formed now, so that we can be invited to those baseball meetings and some of those things ahead of time, so that we can be a part of that process if our schedules allow.
If I can address that, it depends on the meetings. You'll be, the meeting on the 17th is specific to baseball, and so we want to get the baseball folks in and just have a focus group on what do they need, what do they want, and so. That's why it's not going to be a public meeting. It's not going to invite general input like we had the other day. But I would say that when you look at this process, there are going to be plenty of public input meetings, and like we did with the comprehensive plan, which stops and starts at first. Is that we will make sure that council, park board, rec board, and on social media, that those meetings are, you're invited to those meetings early.
So who is coming to that meeting on Monday?
I don't know why we can't.
Right. That's what I'm
Could
asking.
we get an invite just to listen, just to hear firsthand what was stated? That's all I'm asking. I don't know if my schedule allows it, but it would be nice to just be a part of that meeting. But you guys can decide that.
Yeah. And I don't mean to shut you out. And I know it sounds like that, but let us talk to our consultant, because they're leading the process and they know.
Yeah, if there's other things behind there, that's fine. I just said at least we can hear if the schedule allows. I do think the key point too, though, is we do want to encourage people to go to the survey. I know 300 is great. We want even more than that. So I do think this is the time for citizens and community to get involved, fill that survey out so we can get as much information and feedback from the community I do thank the baseball parents and kids and everyone that came in. I think it was on our mind. It just brings that in perfectly with the master plan that's being formed. I don't have an issue with where we are in the phases. I just think it allows everybody to be on the same page. So on phase 2 is fill out the survey. Let's get as many people as we can filling out that and getting feedback.
We should probably remind them Monday at the next meeting.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, we'll just remind you again.
We'll keep reminding them.
Does anyone else have any comments, questions? Sure.
If I may, thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Eidmiller, for the committee of dozen or however many folks are in that advisory committee, have we reached out to Riverside for ADA issues, or do we have an expert, at least community-wide, that could address or relate their needs and input into that sort of thing?
So our consultant's staff member is named Lisa. I don't have the last name right now. She is actually suffers from a disability, so she has devoted her life mission to specifically evaluate park systems. So we've kind of allowed her to do the evaluation for us, and then we're seeing what data is coming back from our surveys and public engagement events, and then we'll approach next steps.
I appreciate, with Riverside, they're kind of Troy, Miami County specific. They may have some particular input. I mean, they may decide not to do anything if asked or whatever, but I was just inquiring about that.
Yeah, certainly.
Thanks.
We can reach out to them and make sure that we get their input.
Okay. Do any other council members have any questions, comments? Any other staff members? Anyone in the audience? Come forward. State your name and address.
I'm Steve Hendrickson at 975 Dickerson. First of all, I don't have any kids, grandkids, parents, uncles, or anything else that play sports in Troy, okay? So I don't really care. One of the things I'm concerned about is the steps that are required to get anything done here. I understand there's a process that you have to go through. But the facts are the facts. That baseball field is going to flood again. No matter what you do here or whatever you don't do here. I would like to have all those baseball fields in dry land before the next season comes. And I hope that all of you work together to get that done. There's no other sport that I'm aware of that depends on Mother Nature so much. Usually Mother Nature for baseball is whether it's going to rain the day of the game, not the flood season, okay? This has been going on way too long. Ever since those fields got there, guess what? It's going to flood. It's going to flood again next year, and maybe even flood again later this year. It's time for action. Try to put the process in place. I understand you got rules you got to follow, but don't make those be so onerous that they hold up what should be done.
I don't care what the consultant says. I'm not an expert, and I don't have a consultant name behind my name. But I sure as hell know that it's going to flood. And there's plenty of land around that you can find and can figure out a way to get this done. Whether it's another committee, there's another consultant, whatever else. The truth is we could go to a bar from here and decide what to do and be done with it. But I understand there's steps you got to follow legally. But let's get this thing done. Obviously, you had enough people here to about fill the room up, and they're mad, and they should be. So let's try to get things done for the kids in this area. That's all I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Austin, for that. I definitely agree with everything you said, and I agree with everything you said. I think it's important, regardless of where we are in the process, that we are involved, because ultimately we will have a say in what is done. So I think that we should be more involved, or as involved as we can be. I appreciate the baseball players, the parents coming out and telling us how they feel, and I think it is important that we know. You said something about the skate park and the other sports. Even though they have every right as well, they're not having any problems with their facilities. So, but with all that being said, if there's no more comments, then there's nothing, right? We're adjourned. That's it.
That's up to you if you'd like to adjourn.
I guess
no decision.
there's no decision, so yes, we are adjourned.
There's nothing to decide.
Right.
I think the
Right.
decision, I think the statements have been made.
Right.
This was an issue that the city put on the ballot 3 times to do baseball fields. It's obviously important. We have a 4th opportunity, and we want to make sure that everybody knows that it's being heard and it's being processed, and hopefully will be implemented.
I agree. Okay. All right, we're adjourned.
Come in, Gavin.